For decades, California Democrats told you this could never happen. Voter ID in California? Impossible. I mean, dead on arrival, not even worth discussing is what they said. And yet, here we are. I mean, as of right now, the California Voter ID initiative has blown past 750,000 signatures, with the final threshold in sight, the deadlines closing in, and something Democrats were counting on suddenly slipping away from them: time. Now, this is not a theory anymore. This isn't a protest. This isn't symbolic. This is momentum. And momentum is what scares political machines the most. Because once something starts moving on its own, once regular people start signing, volunteering, pushing, the usual tricks stop working. You can't dismiss it. You can't bury it. You can't slow walk it into oblivion. That's why the tone has changed. I mean, the same people who said voter ID was racist, unnecessary, and never happening, they're now scrambling to reframe, delay, and discredit what is shaping up to be a constitutional amendment, not a bill, not a policy tweak, but a permanent change to California law. An amendment that forces ID at the polls, an amendment that exposes voter roll verification county by county, an amendment that voters across party lines, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, are clearly demanding. They tried to stop it early. They tried to laugh it off. They tried to pretend that it wasn't real. But now the ballot is almost locked and the panic is setting in. So let's go ahead and walk through exactly why this is happening. By the way, I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1 million subscribers, and I really appreciate all of your support. Let's go ahead and walk through what's happening right now, okay? This is the moment everything changed. Not 100,000 signatures, not 300,000, not even 500,000. 750,000 Californians signed their names right next to something that Democrats spent decades calling impossible. And the second that the number became real, the psychology flipped, because this wasn't driven by pundits or think tanks or party leadership. This was regular people across counties, across like party lines. And they're all saying like, look, we want this on the ballot. That's what they're saying. How did they used to say back in the day? Read my lips. My grandmother used to say that all the time. Read my lips. We want this on the ballot. And that's the part that the political machine never sees coming. Momentum doesn't ask permission. Momentum doesn't wait for approval. Once it reaches critical mass, it becomes self-sustaining. And this is exactly what happened here. Now, for years, voter ID in California was treated like a punchline, something you can mock away without consequence. But 750,000 signatures, that's not a joke. It's a message. And the message is simple. The assumptions are breaking, the control narrative is cracking, and the system feels it. And when people hear almost locked, they think it's hype. It's not hype. This initiative isn't chasing some abstract goal anymore. It's math. The math is visible. The timelines are real. The verification windows are narrowing. And election insiders understand exactly what this means. So at this point, the remaining signatures aren't a mountain. They're a formality. And so once organizers clear the final threshold, the process shifts from whether it qualifies to how fast it gets certified. And that is the moment that power changes hands. Because once a constitutional amendment qualifies for the ballot, it can't be quietly buried. It can't be rewritten behind closed doors, and it can't be stopped with procedural games. This is why the tone has shifted so dramatically, because ballot lock doesn't mean debate. It means inevitability, and inevitability is exactly what turns quiet concern into full-blown panic. What you're watching unfold in California right now isn't just political, it's financial. I mean, look, there is a quiet shift that's happening in this country, and most people don't even see it on the news. They feel it instead. That's how they feel it. They feel it in their bills. They feel it in their savings, in the way money doesn't stretch like it used to. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? And so that raises an uncomfortable but rather necessary question. Does your current plan actually protect you, or are you just hoping that things work out? This is exactly why I partner with Noble Gold Investments. They don't pressure you. They don't use fear tactics. They just simply walk you through how physical gold and silver can protect part of your retirement in your name. That's right, guys. Gold and silver in your name outside the system. And when people understand how it works, the reaction is almost always the same. Okay, that actually makes sense. And this is why people who are paying attention are already dialing the phone number at the bottom of your screen right here, 877-646-5347, or they're clicking the link down below in the description down below this video. They're going to ronyatesgold.com to get their free wealth protection kit, because shifts like this don't announce themselves loudly, and the people who move early sleep better later. Now, this is what you're seeing publicly right now. What you're seeing is it's calm language, dismissive language, confident language, but that's not where the real panic lies. Publicly, Democrats say things like this isn't a big deal, or voter ID has no chance, or California voters are not interested. That's the script script. That's the face. But behind the scenes, though, the playbook looks very different because when control is threatened, the strategy is always the same. Delay the process, delegitimize the movement, and deflect attention anywhere it can. I mean, we've seen this before, not just in California, but nationally, all 50 states. And the reason that those tactics are failing now is simple. They worked when voter ID was theoretical. They worked when it was fringe. They worked when momentum could be stalled early. They do not work when 750,000 signatures are already in hand, though. At that point, denial stops being a strategy and becomes a tell. Deadlines are where power shifts. This initiative doesn't need millions of signatures. It only needs 875,000 valid ones, and it's already most of the way there, months ahead of schedule, by the way. And so that matters more than the people realize because deadlines compress options. They remove flexibility. They force institutions that rely on delay to suddenly make decisions in real time. And so right now, the remaining runway is shrinking fast. Organizers are scrambling, they're pacing, volunteers aren't chasing, they're finishing. Verification isn't hypothetical, it's imminent. So this is the point where political machines usually step in to slow things down, except this time they didn't or they couldn't. And once that final threshold is crossed, everything changes because after the deadline, there's no debate about whether this qualifies. There's only the question that Democrats fear the most. What happens when voters decide? So once you strip away the noise, this measure is actually very simple, and this is exactly why it's so powerful. First, it requires government-issued ID to vote in person. There's no guessing, no trust me system, just verification that you are who you say you are. I mean, that makes sense, right? Drop a yes. Second, for mail-in ballots, it requires ID number verification. That's right, ID number verification. Not a new hurdle, not a poll tax, just accountability. And third, this is the part almost no one talks about. It forces annual public reporting, county by county, showing how many registered voters have had their citizenship verified. That's right. So this last piece regarding the citizenship verification is the real earthquake because this is not a bill that can be quietly rewritten later. This is more of a constitutional amendment. Once it passes, future lawmakers can't weaken it without another vote of the people. That permanence is exactly what terrifies the system, not the ID, but the transparency. Now, for years, this was the shield. Voter ID disenfranchises minorities, but the shield is cracking real fast. Voters are no longer buying the argument, and polling proves it. Support for voter ID cuts across race, income, and party lines, even in deep blue California. And politically, the argument is now backfiring. Because when officials suggest that minorities can't obtain ID, can't navigate basic systems, or can't meet the same standards as everyone else, it doesn't sound compassionate anymore. It sounds condescending. Worse, it raises a question Democrats don't want asked out loud. If ID is required to drive or to travel or to go to work or to receive benefits, why is voting treated as the one exception to ID verification, right? I mean, that inconsistency is exactly why the messaging is unraveling. And once the narrative collapses, opposition loses its moral high ground. Now, this isn't about speculation. It's about records, okay? You see, California has already been forced by lawsuits and settlements to admit what many voters suspected for years already. The voter rolls are a mess. Los Angeles County alone, they were required to remove over 1 million inactive voters after legal action exposed how bloated the rolls had become. That's not ancient history. That's documented fact. And when you're talking about legislative races decided by hundreds or even a few thousand votes, those numbers matter a lot. Inactive voters, duplicates, outdated registrations, people who moved, people who passed away, died, every one of those erodes confidence, even if no fraud ever occurs. That's the point Democrats keep missing. Truth doesn't collapse because of one scandal. It collapses because problems go unaddressed year after year. And voter ID is not an accusation, it's an audit. Now, another reason this moment feels different, the federal backdrop has changed. Under President Trump, the Department of Justice didn't treat election law as optional guidance. It treated it as enforcement law. States were asked to comply. Some did, others resisted, including California. That matters because it reset expectations nationwide. Election integrity is no longer framed as partisan paranoia. It's framed as compliance, transparency, and accountability. And that shift carries weight far beyond one ballot initiative. California now operates in an environment where federal scrutiny exists, whether state officials like it or not. That doesn't mean Washington runs California elections. It means standards are being enforced. And once standards return to the conversation, verification, voter ID stops sounding radical. It starts sounding overdue. California politics looks lopsided from a distance, but up close, it's fragile. Many assembly seats, Senate races, and local offices are decided by razor-thin margins, sometimes just a few hundred votes, sometimes a couple thousand. That's it, guys. So when power rests on margins that small, process matters more than ideology. That's why voter ID isn't viewed as neutral by the establishment. It tightens the system, it reduces ambiguity, and it removes the gray areas where outcomes can quietly tilt. No one fears landslides, they fear margins, because margins decide committee chairs, margins decide budget votes, margins decide whether a supermajority holds or breaks. So when voters demand verification, not new rules, not partisan rules, just basic confirmation you are who you say you are, it threatens the delicate math that sustains control. This is why that reaction feels so disproportionate. Now, let me go ahead and share something that really hits close to home for a lot of people who are watching the show right now. A man sent in a medical claim assuming it was covered. It wasn't. Not because he did anything wrong, but because his Medicare plan denied it on some technicality that he never even heard of. Now, that denial cost him 487 big ones. But even more than the money, it cost him his peace. That constant anxiety of wondering, like, what am I missing? What else could get me denied? Like, that wears on people. You know what I mean? And so this is why I partner with Chapter. Chapter helps you to avoid these surprises by reviewing your Medicare coverage for free for the Ron Yates community. They review your Medicare coverage for free. They're looking for hidden gaps. These are the things that most people never know to look for until it's too late, and nobody wants to be taken for a ride like that, right? And so they don't sell hype. They don't rush you to do anything. They just literally help answer your questions. They help you understand what your plan actually does and what it doesn't do. And so this is why most people who are watching the show right now, they're already calling the phone number at the bottom of your screen, 909-563-8279, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron to get clarity. Click the link down below, because peace of mind matters, especially when the stakes are your health. Link down below. So here's the reality many voters feel, but still struggle to articulate. When ballot harvesting exists and ID isn't required, trust erodes, even among people who don't believe in widespread fraud. But it's not about accusations, it's about opacity, okay? If ballots are collected by third parties, if signatures are the only safeguard, if voters never see verification happen, confidence drops. It's just common sense. Once confidence drops, participation drops with it. Voter ID is meant to reverse that trend, not by pointing fingers, but by restoring clarity. So when people know the system checks identity, checks verification, checks eligibility, and checks records, they trust outcomes more, whether they win or lose. And so this is why this debate isn't going away, because you can't lecture voters into trust. You have to earn it. Now, here's the part that rarely gets said out loud. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is not really about governors or presidents. Yeah, sure, Gavin Newsom is dead smack in the middle of this. This is more about school boards, city councils, county supervisors, district attorneys, and state legislators. And so this is where the power is built quietly. Those races don't get national attention. They don't get massive turnout, and they're often decided by the smallest of margins. Now, voter ID changes that environment. It increases confidence, increases legitimacy, and most importantly, it increases participation from voters who've literally checked out because they just stopped trusting the system. That's what threatens the ecosystem Democrats have relied on for decades. Low information races, low scrutiny, low turnout. When voters believe that the process is fair, they engage locally. And when they engage locally, long-standing power structures start to crack. That's the real earthquake hiding under this initiative in California. Now, this is bigger than one policy. Voter ID has become a symbol, a line where Californians are saying enough deflection, enough dismissal, enough being told that concerns aren't valid. Now, if this passes, can you imagine how Gavin Newsom's going to react? It doesn't flip California overnight, but it changes the direction. It proves voters still have leverage. It proves reforms are possible, and it accelerates everything that comes next. Transparency leads to accountability. Accountability leads to engagement. Engagement leads to change. This is why this moment matters. 750,000 signatures wasn't the end. Oh, it was just the beginning. And so now the ballot is almost locked. The only question left is how voters finish what they started. We'll see you next time.